Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. It is Wednesday, the 4th of February. This is CTV News. Tonight, sentenced for fraud, the former head of the IWK gets jail time. Life in the fast lane, province eyeing special lanes for carpoolers. And a dating dilemma, what to do when dinner and a movie cost way too much.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. The woman who used to be in charge of the IWK Children's Hospital is behind bars tonight. Tracy Kitch was today sentenced for fraud related to personal expenses on a corporate credit card. CTV's Callum Smith has the details, including some pointed comments from the judge.
Tracy Kitch walks behind her lawyer into Halifax Provincial Court to learn her fate. She was convicted last year of fraud over $5,000 for a second time after successfully appealing the first verdict. The Ontario woman was the CEO of the IWK Health Centre from 2014 to 2017 when she resigned. An audit found she used her corporate credit card to spend about $47,000 on personal expenses that were reimbursed. A conservative estimate of more than $30,000 was the evidence presented at her retrial, consisting of personal flight passes to Toronto and taxi chits.
We're of the view that something of this seriousness with this degree of breach of trust requires no sentence less than a period of incarceration in a provincial institution.
Since her resignation, she served as a contract nurse and spent time in the film industry, but is currently unemployed. The Crown had asked for 9 months in jail and 2 years probation. The defense argued an 18-month conditional sentence with house arrest and curfew, followed by probation, was sufficient. The judge today sided with the Crown, even saying she considered a 1-year jail term before landing at 9 months. In a pre-sentence report, Kitch said she did not feel like what she did was malintent or dishonest.
The judge looked at that and rightfully considered it as an element showing, in my view, that she lacked insight into what exactly had occurred, what exactly was the crime, and what exactly was the gravity of it, including the impact upon both the public and the hospital itself.
Handing down her sentence, Associate Chief Judge Rhonda Vanderhoek said, "May this sentence also serve as a message to public officials that public service is a high calling and fraud against public institutions should result in the doors of a jail cell locking behind an offender." Kitch was then escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
A large-scale police operation has targeted an alleged Hells Angels cocaine distribution network in Quebec and northern New Brunswick. Raids were conducted early this morning in Rivière-Verte and Saint-Basile, both in Madawaska County. Police said it's also aimed to break up a system to control territory in both of those provinces. More details on all of this are expected in the days ahead. An anti-crime group in Moncton let city councillors have it the other night. Happened at council on Monday, fed up with robberies and vandalism and drug use downtown. Members of the group Enough is Enough demanded more police officers on the street. Council insists it has no control on that, but the RCMP say they're listening. But the group might not like their response.
We do not have enough to do everything that residents, elected officials ask and expect of us. And to be more specific, we don't have enough members to patrol on every street.
We have to start having a look at how many boots are on the street. Not how many that are on paper, but how many. That's why I always ask for how many are fully operational.
Jolette insists there are plenty of officers to respond to emergencies and investigate crime, but notes that property crime reports have actually been trending down. Halifax police say they're still looking for help from the public to solve a 2023 shooting death in Dartmouth. Today is the 3rd anniversary of the homicide of Nathaniel Maurice Brown. The body of the 36-year-old found outside a residence on Leahy Road. An autopsy later ruled his death as a homicide. Police believe there are people who have information that could help solve the case, and they're urging them to come forward.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Health officials in New Brunswick are advising the public tonight about a confirmed case of hepatitis A at the Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews. An advisory issued today says people who consume food at Braxton's Restaurant and Bar or the Right Whale Pub on January 21st, 22nd, 24th, and 25th should contact the local public health office to help assess their risk and exposure, as well as the potential need for a vaccine. They're urging exposed individuals who have not had a Hep A shot to get one to limit the spread. A former mayor of Moncton has passed away. George LeBlanc built a law career before moving into municipal politics. He was a city councilor for many years before being elected mayor in 2008, and he held the job for the next 8 years. He helped the city through the pain of the killing of 3 RCMP officers back in 2014. And in happier times, he oversaw the construction of the Avenir Center and the creation of the Order of Moncton Award. George LeBlanc passed away yesterday at the Moncton Hospital after a lengthy illness. He was just 71 years old. It's an intriguing idea. In an effort to encourage more carpooling, the Nova Scotia government is said to be considering allowing vehicles with multiple passengers the option of using bus lanes. The goal is to reduce traffic, of course, and allow for faster commutes. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has more.
The Nova Scotia government thinks it's time to share the road and let vehicles carrying 2 or more people use the bus lane.
The team is currently looking at how best to utilize HOV lanes here, whether they're strictly on the peninsula, whether they're on the highways.
HOV stands for High Occupancy Vehicle. The idea is to encourage carpooling by allowing the driver to access less crowded lanes on roads or highways.
I think that anything that reduces congestion and traffic in the Halifax Regional Municipality would be beneficial.
But CAA spokesperson Julia Kent would like to see the province monitor the results. In addition to HOV lanes, Minister Tilley is also proposing a coordination of traffic lights to allow drivers to move freely through multiple intersections.
Adaptive signal technology is where the signal lights will speak to one another, and in real time they can change with the flow of traffic to keep traffic flowing.
The changes are part of the regional transportation plan. Minister Tilley says fine amounts for vehicles using the HOV lanes when they're not supposed to haven't yet been determined. Jonathan McInnes, CTV News, Halifax.
Popular sun destination around here is said to be feeling some pressure at the moment. Cuba is dealing with shortages of fuel, power, and food. That, coupled with uncertainty in the region, has prompted a travel advisory by Global Affairs Canada. For visitors, this is more a question of comfort rather than safety, though.
With those power outages, the airports can go dark sometimes, flights can get canceled or delayed, so you're going to see added cost to the traveler.
I would still go. The Cubans are so proud and happy of their island, and they'll do anything for you, so I would say that trumps any advisory.
The fuel shortages, by the way, can be traced to an American prohibition of the importation of Venezuelan diesel or heavy oil. Maybe winter, but they're preparing for drought in St. John. Water levels in the city and private wells suffered a lot last summer, so work is underway now to bolster water sources for what could be another hot year ahead. CTV's Nick Moore has details.
This bridge on Highway 111 near the St. John Airport crosses the channel linking First Lake with Robertson Lake, the drinking water supply for much of St. John. Water is flowing easily through the channel today, but there was real concern back in the fall that the water had plummeted to such a low level that the lakes would become cut off following a summer of drought conditions.
And that channel is shallower than Robertson Lake itself, so that creates a pinch point or bottleneck.
Work will pick up in February to dredge a section of the channel. A new gravel pad has also been built nearby, with the expectation that drought conditions will become more common and more severe in the years to come.
We're just trying to position ourselves so that we have a backup plan that's, readily available to us.
While the water level here has gone up and there's plenty of snow cover now, well drillers say it will take more to recover from last summer's drought.
One well driller in the Acadia Peninsula, he still had 30 wells to drill. And he's been drilling all summer. You know, if a household doesn't have any water, you know, not much that can be done, you know, besides drilling a new well.
And demand is not expected to go away. A report from Environment and Climate Change Canada says the year ahead will likely be one of the hottest on record, comparable to 2025. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
Positive reaction tonight from maritime advocates to Ottawa's new plan to protect the endangered North Atlantic right whale. The strategy focused on fishing gear will begin right here on our coast. It will see the use of on-demand or ropeless fishing gear that can be moved to and from the ocean floor using acoustic signals. Entanglement, of course, is often fatal to the animals which spend their summers here in our waters. The plan will also reopen previously closed fishing grounds for boats that have the new gear. Only about 380 of the whales remaining in the wild. There was a real buzz at Sydney's community college campus today. The school and the one in Spring Hill is training the next generation of power line technicians, a trade that is certainly high in demand. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
Having a life-changing idea is often referred to as having a light bulb go off in one's head. But for Nevaeh Sampson, hers was the moment she realized she wanted to help turn the lights back on for others.
I fished lobster with my dad. So one day we were on the step and I watched Brady Gerwart change a light on the power pole, and then I decided that's what I wanted to do.
The 18-year-old from Isle Madame is one of 30 students who just this week started in the new Power and Utility Line Work program here at the NSCC Sydney Waterfront campus.
The program actually was out at the Marconi campus several years ago, probably 20 years ago.
Now, the one-year certificate program has been brought back to Cape Breton with a focus, the school says, on attracting students from the local area.
And from the students, I understand there was an overflow. People were trying to get into the course, so there's a waiting list, actually.
The pilot is a partnership with Nova Scotia Power. The utility says it's to address what they call urgent workforce needs.
The electric industry in general, there's an increase requirements and demand for power line technicians, and this is North America-wide.
The program's first students are set to graduate in the fall. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Still to come tonight, Kaylin's full forecast. And we'll check in on a refugee family who came to this country a decade ago. Coming up next, though, a power play.
More supply means lower costs and more reliable energy for our region.
Nova Scotia and Massachusetts take steps together toward offshore wind development. Details are next. Stay with us.
With Aaron and Peter. This is where you could be lounging when you win Password to Paradise to beaches, Turks, and Caicos.
Listen for your password starting 6 a.m. weekdays, and this could be your view.
Nova Scotia and Massachusetts are taking steps toward an offshore wind partnership. Premier Tim Houston was in Boston today to sign an agreement that aims to boost clean energy development and then share it right across the border. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
As energy demands grow and governments push to secure and meet clean energy targets, there's an opportunity for offshore wind development in Nova Scotia, and Massachusetts wants to be part of that and on the receiving end of that future clean energy development.
In fact, Nova Scotia only uses about 2 gigawatts of energy at peak demand, and in the Nova Scotia offshore, we can produce 40, 50, 60 gigawatts. It's remarkable. So we'll have a lot of excess energy.
Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey and Houston signed a memorandum of understanding to partner and cooperate on the development and delivery of wind power.
More supply means lower costs and more reliable energy for our region.
Houston says Nova Scotia's offshore conditions make it ideal for large-scale wind development.
Incredible wind speeds. The wind blows a lot. The water depths are good. We have all the conditions to create a lot of clean energy.
Healey says demand for wind energy is growing, and offshore offshore wind is reliable despite what some naysayers suggest.
Whatever actions may or may not be coming out of Washington, rest assured that here in Massachusetts, we're moving forward in any which way to bring more energy into this region.
Both Nova Scotia and the federal government are partnering to develop Wind West, a major offshore wind project, which they say could supply a quarter of Canada's energy needs and potentially feed energy into parts of New England. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Okay, time for a quick break. When we return, your complete maritime weather forecast and what's become, well, kind of a snowy Wednesday night around here. Kalen's forecast coming up next. Stay with us. Okay, so it's Wednesday night, fourth day of February today. Not a bad day around here, I must say.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, temperatures during the day were actually a little bit above average for early February. We did see some flurries and some light snow in some areas. That did carry on into the evening as temperatures began to fall. Might have made it a little bit slippery out there as this low pressure system is now continuing to move off towards the east of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. And that's going to take the bulk of any remaining light snow with it. So that'll be heading off over the Atlantic. In the forecast for tomorrow, cloudy periods and some scattered flurries. Now, winds for tonight are relatively light, a little bit variable in direction. And in the forecast for Thursday, the winds are going to become northwest. They'll be sustained for many parts of the Maritimes between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour during the day, with some gusts between 20 and 40. Here's the key. These northwest winds are going to continue for Thursday night into Friday. And as they do so, they're going to start bringing in some colder air off the continent. So I know the daytime high temperatures have been a little bit above average to start off this month. We do have some colder temperatures ahead for the end of this week, the upcoming weekend, and the start of next week. Speaking of being a little bit colder, some low temperatures in New Brunswick for tonight will be falling into a range around -10 to -16, -8 to -11 around the Bay of Fundy coastline, down around -7 in Prince Edward Island for tonight, with low temperatures in Nova Scotia between -3 and -8. Here's a look at the highs in the forecast for tomorrow for communities in the north of New Brunswick between -6 and -9, including -6 at Miramichi, -8 at Bathurst, and -9 at Edmundston and Grand Falls. Fredericton tomorrow, the high temperature near -4, -3 at Campobello, -4 at Grand Manan, -5 at St. John, and -6 for Moncton. In Prince Edward Island on Thursday, high temperatures will be in the range of -3 to -6, including -5 at Summerside and Charlottetown, then -4 at St. Peter's Bay and Montague, and -3 at Surrey. In Cape Breton, high temperatures between 0 and -3 for Thursday, and a similar range of high temperatures expected for both the eastern shore and north shore of Nova Scotia. On the eastern shore, most of the high temperatures between -2 and 0. On the north shore, most communities will be around -1 or -2, including -2 at Tatamagouche. -3 for Amherst in the forecast, -1 for Truro. The city centers, Halifax and Dartmouth, with high temperatures tomorrow right around 0. In the Annapolis Valley, the high temperatures will be near -3. And on the South Shore and the coastal southwest areas of Nova Scotia, most of the high temperatures be around -1, -2. Now, taking a look at the extended forecast, beginning first with New Brunswick, coming up on Friday, it is a mix of sun and cloud, but colder air begins to arrive Thursday night, and daytime high temperatures on Friday are expected to be several degrees below 0. On Saturday, those temperatures during the day may come up a degree or 2 with some cloudier conditions and some flurries in the forecast, but then colder air moves back into place for Saturday night, and it's around for Sunday and Monday. Those 2 days looking particularly cold right now, with daytime high temperatures in the -teens, and then a chance of flurries after that for both Tuesday and Wednesday. And for Nova Scotia, the outlook coming up on Friday, it's isolated flurries with high temperatures remaining at least a few degrees below the freezing mark. Same thing goes for Saturday with more flurries in the forecast. Colder air moves into place for the end of the weekend, and that's around for the start of next week. Daytime high temperatures for much of the province could be several degrees below 0 for both Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday a mix of sun and cloud. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, coming up on Friday, flurries with a high temperature of around -6. -2 on Saturday, more flurries and some flurries in the forecast as well for Sunday with highs around -4. But the overnight low temperature will head down towards -18. That leads into a very cold start to next week. Monday's high temperature around -16. And then on Tuesday, a high of around -10, followed by -6 on Wednesday with a chance of flurries. Bruce.
Cold Monday is better than another nor'easter Monday, though, wouldn't it?
It could be, yeah, for sure.
Maybe, sure, yeah. Okay, we'll step aside for a minute. Stay with us. There's more to come. Well, it is no secret that dinner and a movie don't cost what they used to cost. In fact, wining and dining somebody special is now off the table for some singles because it's too expensive. At least as CTV's Hafsa Arif tells us tonight, the rising costs have certainly changed the dating game.
Dinner and a movie might sound romantic, but it adds up fast, which is why it may be no surprise 30% of Canadians say they're dating less because of the cost, and 29% say they've shifted to low or no cost dates instead.
I'm not exactly loaded, so I'd like to keep it on the cheaper side and prioritize something where you can actually talk and get to know the person.
And it's not just where people are dating.
And what we found was an increase in values around finances when dating, financial transparency, as well as shared financial goals, which are all really important, especially when you're looking for a long-term partner.
A generation coming of age during high rent, high interest rates, and a tight job market. Instead of fancy dinners, many are choosing more affordable ways to connect.
Definitely lunch date. You know, it's casual and you get to know them easier. It's not as intimate as dinner.
In our ramped up consumer economy and work conditions, it's very hard to do that.
Trust is important too. It takes a long time to build and it's important to keep up. And your finances and being open and honest and communicating are really important.
For both long-term relationships and finances. Hafsa Arif, CTV News.
Okay, thank you, Hafsa. Time for one final break tonight. Coming up, all settled in. We'll check in with a refugee family who've made our region their permanent home. First, though, it is your wake-up weather. Here's a live look at Charlottetown on this Wednesday evening, just about midnight and -3 right now. Kaylin's on deck. Just like that, Thursday morning, we'll kick it off with a look at the wake-up weather and Kaylin.
Yeah, cloudy skies in the morning. There's going to be a chance of flurries throughout the day. Describe it as sort of scattered flurries for both Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. For those two provinces, for any given community, you can think of that as around a 40 to 60% chance of a flurry throughout the day. For New Brunswick for tomorrow, more isolated flurries, or about a 20 or 30% chance. Now, the afternoon high temperatures will be mostly around or a few degrees below the freezing mark, except a little bit colder than that in northern areas of New Brunswick, where they're expected to be in the range of around -6 to -9. Bruce.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. Hard to believe it's been a decade, but it has. Dozens of maritime communities welcomed hundreds of Syrian refugees 10 years ago after civil war drove them from their homes. Data shows the majority have stayed, including one family that made Fredericton their home. CTV's Laura Brown has their updated story tonight.
Suleiman Abazid recalls looking out of the airplane as they flew over New Brunswick. The land was blanketed in white. The next day, a snowstorm kept the family of 4 inside for 3 days.
I decided in my mind to come back to Jordan at that time because it's I have never seen like this weather before. But when the snow melted, it's like a heaven.
That was 10 years ago. Abazid's family came to Canada during the massive Syrian refugee resettlement movement. In 100 days between November 2015 and February 2016, the country welcomed over 26,000 Syrians. 1,600 landed in New Brunswick.
What we saw was a whole community approach and whole communities who wanted to be involved, to welcome individuals from Syria to Canada and really make sure that they felt at home.
According to Data NB, 74% of Syrians who arrived during that time were still here 5 years later. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Laura. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca if you want to have a closer look at anything you've seen tonight. I'm Bruce Frisco. Thanks for staying up late with us. Have a good night. Hope to see you again tomorrow.